Hi, I'm Jason with Nightly Creations. This week's video is going to be focusing on the European 4-in-1 chainmail weave. This weave is perfect for beginners because of its simplicity and the fact that we use it as a gateway drug to create our very own chainmail armor. So let's head over to the workbench and show you how to get started.
Alright, you've made it this far. So we're going to be going over the European 4-in-1. For this particular tutorial, you're going to need 2 sets of pliers, a lobster clasp, about 60 rings. Here we're using 16 gauge 5/16 inch, but you can use any variety of gauges or ring sizes. And then a bread tie or a jewelry pin or a lobster clasp, anything that we'll use to hold down the very beginning of your particular weave. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up 20 of these rings and close 40 of them. And I'm also going to be using a different color scheme so that way you guys can follow along a little bit more easily. So let's go ahead and get that going. Alright, now that we have all the rings open and closed, let's go ahead and take one of these rings and get started. So I've chosen brown as the backbone of our current 4-in-1, and I'm going to choose this pale yellow to be the edges here. So we're going to attach 4 rings here. So we have 4 of the yellow on 1 brown. So let's go ahead and close that ring. So if you open this up, what you should find is that you have something looking akin to a butterfly. It has 4 rings, or 4 wings, and a brown body. The head pokes up over here, and the forward wings are on top of the back wings. So this is basically the terminology that we're going to use here. This is the head, these are the forward wings, and these are the back wings. To help everything, we're going to take these back wings and we're going to knot them using a bread tie or a jewelry pin, whatever you have lying around that's handy. This is going to help you make sure that the weave doesn't flip over on itself and confuse you later on. Okay, so now you can drop it, you can fling it around, and every time you pick it up, you will see that there are 2 rings down there. You'll pick those up, you'll put 1 ring in each hand and pull them apart, and we can always return to where we were with the head of our butterfly at the top and the 2 wings to the side there. Now if you end up where it's the exact opposite, where the head is underneath the wings, all you have to do is flip those down. But essentially every time you drop it, you want to pick it up, take these 2 rings, spread them apart, and then you want to flip the rings that are furthest away from you up. Now for handling it to move forward, I pinch the rings in between my index finger and my thumb. And so it creates a little opening there. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take another open ring, going to weave it through one side and up the other. So we're basically giving our little butterfly here a set of pinchers, and we're going to add 2 more rings. So I always like to add them to the bottom one because it makes holding it easier, because I'm going to grasp this, and when I let go, everything stays just fine. No rings are flying off, anything like that. And so we're going to close that. And sometimes you can listen for that click to make sure you have a good closure. And then I spread this out, pull it apart, and you see how we get somewhat of a zigzag pattern here? This is what you're looking for every time. This up, down, over and over again. So now we're going to drop it. We're going to put our index finger behind the furthest brown ring. Hold down with our thumb the two wings of our butterfly here. Going to take another open ring, weave it through. Give our butterfly some pinchers, and you're going to move that index finger up just a little bit to hold that ring in place. And then we'll take two more closed rings, throw it on top, grip with the bottom, let go, everything's kosher, close the ring. And then we're going to flip that open that segment, inspect, make sure we're doing all right, and we're good. So we'll take another open ring, and we're going to repeat this process the entire way through. So this is 20 segments of European 4-in-1. Now this is just European 4-in-1 chain. We'll go over European 4-in-1 sheet later. This sheet you'll use to create like chainmail armor or cuffs, something like that. Once again, we're throwing two closed rings over our open one, gripping the bottom so we hold everything in place. Close it. Open that back up again. Grip it. Now this will look a little different if you're right-handed. I am left-handed, so I weave a very particular way. So after we close this one, I will show you what it should look like right-handed. All right, so we've opened that up. So we're going to take our index and our thumb, we're going to pinch our rings. We're going to take our open ring and we're going to weave that through. Once again, giving our little butterfly here a set of pinchers. Or antennae if you don't want to be the violent type. And we're going to add two rings. We're going to grip this bottom piece here. That way when we let go, nothing goes flying. And then we're going to close. Then we're going to open that up. Once again, pinching between the thumb and forefinger, making sure that our top wings of our butterfly stay open. And then we're going to weave that through, weaving through the two yellow rings, and then adding another set of closed rings. Once again, gripping, looks like my finger lost control there. Gripping the bottom portion, and closing. Okay, now I'm going to move to the right, or to the left-hand side again, that way it's a little bit more natural for me. And we're just going to continue this process through. It's a process of over and over adding another segment to our butterfly, which I guess becomes a millipede maybe? And just over and over. Weaving a ring in to the last two. Adding two rings. Closing them. Now, once again, we're checking to make sure everything's correct. We still have that zigzag kind of feel to it. Now, what you want to look for is instances where you accidentally drop it and either the top ring flips over and you end up with somewhat of a upside down picnic table here. So we have our zigzag, zigzag, and then all of a sudden this ring is flat. Now, with it being back a ring, you're instantly going to think that you did something wrong back and wondering why you didn't catch it. Don't worry, nothing like that happened. All we have to do is drop it, take that last ring, flip it all the way over, And voila, we are fixed. There you go. And the zigzag pattern is restored. So let's go ahead and finish this up. All right, now we're sort of getting to the end of this bracelet. So we're gonna add in our last one. I am finding that we're gonna have 2 extra closed rings at the end of this, but that's okay. And so you're gonna wanna save 2 of those open rings for the clasp and what to clasp onto. So here are our last 2 open rings. Gonna take that, weave it through the top wings of that butterfly, and then we're gonna add on this lobster clasp. So there we go. Our bracelet now has a clasp on it. Now we're going to trace this all the way down to the end. We're going to double check and make sure we still have our zigzag pattern, make sure we didn't make any mistakes along the way. Seeing that we didn't, let's go ahead and untie our little zip tie here, or our bread tie. There we go. And so we want to turn this around to where we're looking once again at that same familiar butterfly pattern that we had earlier. So here's the head of our butterfly. Here's the front 2 wings. We're going to add one more brown ring to the middle column there. Close it. And there you go. You have one beautiful little bracelet. So if we put that clasp around, set it down, there you go. And like you can see here, this is the one that I made from the rings that we made from the previous tutorial. And it's identical. So there you go. That's what you get at the end of this. So experiment, continue forward, and I'll see you next week for the next tutorial.
Thank you for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like button, and then leave us a note in the comments about what you would like to be able to see in the future. And then subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified the moment your suggestion goes live. Remember, YouTube is not our only social media outlet, so check us out in other areas, and we look forward to seeing you out there. Have a good day.